Hey guys, so this is not going to be like a well-produced video or anything like that, just shooting on my phone really quick because I wanted to just get some ideas out there. So tonight there's been a lot of talk on social media about Donald Trump's cognitive testing results, if you want to call them that. He underwent his physical with the doctor and, they deemed him to be in perfect health or whatever they said about him. And part of that was they're like, well, we're going to basically give people what they want, which is some sort of cognitive assessment, because a lot of people have questions about Donald Trump's, mental fitness for duty. And so what they did is they performed an instrument called the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, or the MOCA, M-O-C-A. This is one that I'm very familiar with. I give the MOCA routinely. It's part of batteries that I give often in the community to people who I'm trying to assess for dementia or other conditions like that in my role as a clinical neuropsychologist. And he scored 30 out of 30. Now, that's fine. That's good. He scored 30 out of 30. But what's being done is people are very much overextending what that means. So I just want to clarify what exactly that means. So the MOCA, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, is a screening tool. It's a very basic measure, and by all means, it's actually quite easy. It involves a lot of different portions. It's very similar to something called the mini mental state exam or mini mental status exam, but a little bit more in depth than that. And it's a good instrument. I actually really like it. But it's meant to be a broad overview of someone's cognitive abilities. And it's the sort of thing you would do to see, do you need to do further testing of somebody? Now, what I want to stress is that it is something that's very basic. You have to identify a few different animals and say what they're called. You have to do a few memory tasks, a few tasks that look at something called working memory, basically measuring your also like kind of multitasking ability. Do you get stuck on one idea or can you remain mentally flexible? It's basically just a very, very compact, quick and dirty assessment. And it's good. I do like it. But it is not a fitness for duty evaluation. I do fitness for duty evaluations for people like surgeons, lawyers, people who need to have good cognitive capabilities in order to do their job. And the MOCA may be a part of that, but that is not a full evaluation in any stretch. It's just a basic screening measure. So, yeah, we wouldn't expect Donald Trump to fail the MOCA. Maybe he has some difficulties that aren't captured by it, but, it's clear that he doesn't have some rampant Alzheimer's or other form of dementia that's really, really, really impairing him. He may have some certain difficulties that people are noticing here and there, but that's not going to be captured in the MOCA. The MOCA is very basic. It's a brief overview. But his doctor is saying, he has quotes literally saying, this means that he's sharp and this means that he's fit for duty. And while it's great that he passed the MOCA, it does not mean either of those things. That does not mean that he's sharp. You basically, 30 out of 30, and I'm going off memory here. I don't think that implies necessarily that you're even in the higher percentiles. I think that's basically just average. Either you're passing it and you're doing fine, or you have a deficit and you need to look into it further. So you can't really like ace the MOCA. It's not something that you're going to be better at than a lot of people. It's basically either you're getting that criteria or not. Whereas something like, there are a lot of different tasks within the MOCA that are representative of bigger tests. So for instance, one of them is you have a letter and you name as many different things as you can that start with that letter. That's a form of verbal fluency test. On formal verbal fluency testing that are bigger, where you're doing, multiple different letters and also categories, you can have a whole range of functioning from very impaired all the way up to, genius level. On the MOCA, you don't have that. Either you met the requisite or you did not. So again, you can't excel at this. And to sort of brag about passing the MOCA is not necessarily something that is, brag-worthy. Now, again, this wasn't meant to be a fitness for duty evaluation. The doctor was doing it sort of routinely as part of a broad check for health, including cognitive health. And so, yes, gross cognitive abilities are not impaired for him, but that's not really what they're claiming. Again, they're claiming that this means that he's fit for duty, that he's sharp, that he's with it. And that just isn't what that means. So I just kind of wanted to clarify that, that what the MOCA does and does not mean. Honestly, I have concerns about him. I am not a fan of Donald Trump. If you follow me on anything, you know that. But, it's important to be objective about these things. And I definitely am not interested in trying to diagnose him without ever having met him. But there are some concerns, and my concerns are more related to, intellectual functioning, not necessarily, his very basic thinking skills, but essentially his IQ level. Is he capable of understanding complex ideas and reasoning with them? And, that's something that requires a whole lot more testing. And aside from that, a lot of the difficulties that I think we're seeing with him are more related to personality and are related to possibly, emotional functioning. And those are things that aren't going to be captured by the MOCA. To do a fitness for duty evaluation, I'm spending, 3-4 hours FaceTime with somebody and a bunch of additional time writing up a report and analyzing the results of that, comparing records, things of that sort. I don't think that you would be comfortable with me saying your surgeon for an important procedure is fit for duty just because they passed a very, very brief screener that most people could pass, right? And we also got to recognize that the presidency, the president of the United States, this is not a simple job. The qualification for that shouldn't necessarily be, do you have dementia or not? It should be, are you functioning at a high level? Because that's what's required.